evening. Welcome to the 2015 Scholarship Dinner. I'm Dave Bohan, Vice President for University Advancement at the university. Thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate the transformational power of scholarship support. Before we begin, I'd like to recognize several guests. Of course, Dr. Esteban and his wife Jo, table 3. Former Board of Regent, Tom Sharkey is here. Tom. Former Board of Regent Kurt Borowski is here. Kurt. Carmen Unanue is here, wife of the late Joseph Unanue, a member of our Board of Regents. And from our administration, I'd like to recognize Dr. Larry Robinson, our provost. Tracy Gottlieb, our VP of Student Services. Alyssa McLeod, our VP of Enrollment Management. Monsignor Joseph Riley, the Rector and Dean of Immaculate Conception Seminary. And where is he? Stephen Graham, our Chief Financial Officer. There he is. I'd like to also recognize deans that are here from our various schools and colleges. Grace May from our College of Education and Human Services. Where's Grace? Andrea Bartoli from our School of Diplomacy and International Relations. Marie Foley from our College of Nursing. Joyce Strouser, Dean of the Stillman School of Business. And Michael Zavada from the College of Arts and Sciences. I'd like to recognize members of the Presidential Advisory Board, Ted Ferraro and Nick Scalera. Nick. And from our University Advisory Committee, Ken Alekna, Mary Ellen Urbanowitz, and Joseph Connor. And from University Advancement, Bridgette Bryant, our Associate Vice President for Development. Dan Nugent, our Assistant Vice President for Advancement Services. Where's Dan? Right there. And I also want to thank Sasha Dieso, who put this event together for us tonight. Where is Sasha? Back there. And then many people from our division are here throughout the evening tonight that you'll get to meet. Just a quick note on fire safety, just please note the exits that we have around the room, and if you could take a moment just to identify those should we need them. I'd like to now begin the formal portion of our program. I'd like to ask Monsignor Joseph Riley to offer tonight's invocation.
Thanks so much, Dave. Let us pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God our Father, during this sacred time of the Easter season, we're reminded of your living presence with us, your presence which gives life and hope and joy to the world, and peace to all hearts. Tonight, as we gather as a Seton Hall family here, we're reminded of the great gifts that are present here among us. The gift of generosity of so many benefactors, the gift of accomplishment of so many of the students that are here. Please bless all of us, bless our conversation, bless this wonderful university, and the food you give to us through your bounty, through Christ our Lord. Amen. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Monsignor. As head of University Advancement, I have the privilege of speaking with graduates in many parts of the country. When we talk about Seton Hall, I hear three particular themes again and again. They tell me Seton Hall provided them with an exceptional education. Seton Hall is an intellectual community with the closeness of family. And Seton Hall transformed their lives in profoundly positive ways. Those three themes speak to the university's essential nature, and they are displayed most powerfully through student scholarships. Financial aid gifts are always welcome, but there's something special about a scholarship. In a very personal way, it represents the care and concern of one single individual for another. That's why every graduation of a scholarship student is a mutual achievement, shared between the graduates and their families, of course, but also shared between graduates and the donors who make their education possible. So it makes perfect sense for us to come together tonight to celebrate scholarship support. So to our donors, thank you for your generosity. Because of you, a Seton Hall education has reached new levels of excellence, which I'm sure you'll hear about from Dr. Esteban. Because of you, we are enrolling better qualified students at any time in the university's history. They possess bright minds and bold hearts that are eager to learn and grow. You may have realized that yourselves in speaking with them this evening. And because of you, their minds and hearts are molded even further by Seton Hall's Catholic values, academic rigor, and servant leadership ethos. A few moments ago, I told you that tonight is a celebration of the transformational power of scholarships. Later this evening, Dr. Esteban will tell us why Seton Hall's power to transform lives has never been greater. For now, though, please enjoy your meals and conversations, and the program will continue after dinner. He's a teacher, a scholar, and an innovator, all characteristic of a career of achievement built on leading institutional change and transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 20th president of Seton Hall University, Dr. Gabriel Esteban.
Thank you, David. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our 5th annual scholarship dinner. For those of you who've been with us, I know when we started, we were downstairs in the Chancellor Suite, and I think we had 30 or 40 people that first year. And now that we look around the room, there's been some change. And that's because of everyone here. So I'd like to acknowledge our special guests, beginning with our donors and the students. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd like to acknowledge members of our priest community who are here. Monsignor Riley is also a trustee, in addition to being rector of the seminary. I'd like to acknowledge again the provosts, vice presidents, dean, administrators, faculty, staff who made this event possible, and I'd also like to acknowledge Joe for being part and hosting this dinner. Today was a very interesting day from our standpoint, and the provost was part of this day, most of this day, because I went to a number of meetings today, and it was fascinating because the meetings had to do with who we are as an institution, who we were, and where we're headed. And all 3 meetings had that same theme. This morning we had a meeting on a small project called our medical school. We have a board task force that's working with us as we work out the details of the proposed med school. So on that task force, we had board members who are students. Quite a few of them were students here in the 80s, and some new friends who joined our board. We also had, we're talking about the future of the institution. And this is a very interesting future with the med school. I will say that at our scholarship reception about just over a week ago, where we hosted recipients of scholarships for the incoming class of 2019, quite a few of them were aware of what we were doing with regards to med school. Later this afternoon, I met with the priest community. And if you think of our founding as an institution, we started out with a seminary, among other things, and education, the formation of our priests. And we've been blessed with the presence of over 40 priests. I think the latest count, Monsignor Riley, is 46. Okay. And I was talking to another priest last week, and he said he was talking to the president of, St. John's, which is Augustinian. This is Monsignor Coleman. And he said when he was talking to one of the Augustinian priests, he casually mentioned we have over 40 priests on campus. And the priest from St. John said, you have how many? So he reiterated, and he said, Monsignor Coleman pointed out they're on our faculty, we have a seminary and so on, and St. John's apparently has 18 priests. Okay. So we're blessed to have that presence. And the priests have been an important part in our accreditation visit, which just concluded. One of our strengths, which is pointed out, is the presence of priests on our campus. Okay. The third event is this dinner. And I'd like to thank all the donors here, okay, both alum and friends of the university, because you're investing in the future of Seton Hall. As you sit around the table with your scholarship recipients, okay, my guess is you're going to get quite a few of them going to be taking your place in 20, 30, 40 years from now. And they'll have a different group, and hopefully will be in the new university center, which can sit 500. Okay? That's a plug for that. So every year we've grown, and the number of scholarships we've offered has also grown over a period of time. And this is a positive indicator which tells the story of a rising Catholic university. Okay, we're on the threshold of transformation. In some of our programs, we're already rated among the top 10 Catholic and top 10 actually, or top 25 national universities. So that's happening already. And we're gathering tonight to thank two groups, our benefactors who established the scholarships and the students, okay, who make the most of your gifts. So to both of them, we're very thankful. I'd like to acknowledge a few donors, and every year we pick a few donors to publicly thank. And I'd like to mention several by name. I'd like to mention Kurt and Betsy Borowski. Kurt was the former chair of the Board of Regents. And Kurt was the one who asked me to become interim president of Seton Hall. It was June 15, I believe, in 2010. And I'll have to say, Kurt, there are days when I'm thankful, and there are days when I say, okay, what did I get myself into? No, but it's been a great ride these past. We were just counting. I'm finishing up my 5th year as president at Seton Hall, so Kurt was behind that. And they established the PIC Foundation Scholarship, which has given out grants over a number of years to numerous students. Kurt is here with several of his family members, including his granddaughter, Christine, who is a sophomore here at Seton Hall. And Kurt lit our Christmas tree. Kurt and family lit our Christmas tree. It's been a year and a half now. Yeah, it's been a year and a half. I'd also like to acknowledge Carmen Unanue, who with her late husband Joe, a former regent, established the Joseph and Carmen Anna Unanue Scholarship, and also the Joseph A. Unanue Latino Institute. Their fund has provided over 100 scholarships to deserving students. And tonight we're going to hear from a Unanue scholar. I'd also like to acknowledge tonight Tom and Ruth Sharkey. Tom is a former regent, and he co-chaired our last campaign. Tom is still a whole lot better than myself in golf, and I'm not afraid to admit that. They've supported Seton Hall in many ways, including the Thomas J. and Ruth Sharkey Endowed Scholarship and the Ruth Sharkey Academic Resource Center. And the Ruth Sharkey Academic Resource Center was behind a lot of our Fulbrights to date and all the other external scholarships. So again, thank you for your support. Just like everyone in this room, they understand the importance of ensuring that deserving students are able to pursue their dreams. And thanks to your generosity, the students we are attracting are better than at any time in our history. And I dug up a few stats just for this evening. This morning, I had them run our enrollment numbers. As of this morning, we received the most number of applicants in our history. This is as of 9:57 this morning. We received 16,219 applications, which is more than it was at the end of the recruiting cycle last year. More than 10% more of our applications are out-of-state students. And as of last count, and Dr. McLeod is here, I think we had 30 or so students who were admitted from Hawaii. So I'm not sure about moving from Hawaii to New Jersey, but we do have quite a few students now from Hawaii. More importantly, as of this morning, the SAT scores are 10 points ahead of last year. And last year was our strongest class in our history. And the GPA is also slightly higher than last year. Okay. But it's not just about the quality of the class. As of this morning, deposits are about 17% ahead of last year. We're cautiously optimistic that we'll hit our targets for enrollment and the quality of the class. But that's only possible because of your hard work. Your presence here tonight makes a strong statement in support of our Catholic mission here at Seton Hall. The university has found a home, I know, in your hearts and in your lives. And for that, I can't thank you enough. Quite a few of you here, I see at almost all our functions, or a lot of our functions. And we're extremely grateful for that support. Your philanthropy ensures that our goal to educate the next generation of servant leaders will continue to bear fruit. So we've been very blessed because of your support that we're able to provide educational experiences for these young men and women. Okay. Again, thank you for joining us this evening. And as we like to end things, I like to say, go Pirates!
Thank you, Dr. Esteban. Now I'd like to introduce Tom Frando, Seton Hall class of 1985. Tom is the President and Chief Executive Officer of CRGT Incorporated, a leading provider of custom software and data analytics for federal government agencies. In his role at CRGT, Tom provides leadership and develops strategies to maximize revenue, profitability, and growth. Prior to that, Tom served as President and Chief Operating Officer of Cherry Road Technologies and Cherry Road GT, its federal division. And from 2001 to 2008, while running the day-to-day operations of both companies, he grew revenue in the GT division from $2.5 million to $98 million. Tom earned his bachelor's degree in computer science from Seton Hall. He also received a master's in human resource management from Stevens Institute of Technology. He's here to tell us what Seton Hall means to him personally and why he chose to establish an endowed scholarship here. Please join me in welcoming Tom Frando.
Thank you, everyone. As you know, I have no notes, so I'm going from memory. It's an honor to be here. Next week or 2 weeks from now celebrates my 30th anniversary from graduation here on this campus at Seton Hall University. And when I look back at that time, it's been an amazing journey. And I thought I'd spend my 10 minutes that I have with you to give you a little bit of story about why I chose Seton Hall, what I did when I was here at Seton Hall, and kind of how it gave me a foundation to be fairly successful. When I look back at my career, there's been a lot of highs and lows. There's been a lot of wins and losses. There's been successes and failures. But spoiler alert, I turned out okay. I digress. Let me go back to where I was in the late 70s and early 80s when I was choosing a college. And for the students in the room, the college application process was a lot different. I didn't Google Seton Hall. There was no Google. There was no internet. I did not have a computer in my house. I had something called a library, and I had a typewriter. And what would happen would be that schools would come to your cafeteria, and they would set up tables once a year for like a career fair or a college fair, and they'd have these little trifolds, and you look at the trifold, and you would actually talk to people, like face to face. Frightening, I know. And you would talk, and you wouldn't use your fingers, and you would talk about the school, and you'd make a selection. So, coming from New York, I had a Catholic school education from kindergarten all through high school, St. Dorothy, St. Patrick's, Monsignor Farrell High School, and my mother wanted me to continue the Catholic education for two reasons. One, it would provide an excellent education, and two, it would build character. So I had two requirements, really. Coming from New York City, I wanted a school that had a tree and like rolling grass. I pictured for some reason myself sitting under a tree reading a book, maybe throwing a frisbee. So I went to the cafeteria, I stumbled upon Seton Hall, and lo and behold, they had a brochure with a picture of a man sitting under a tree. Decision made. It was a lot easier back then. But I also took a computer course, one class in high school, and don't forget, computers were new back then. And my father said, go to law school, so I didn't do that. And my mother said, follow your passion. So Seton Hall had a computer science program, and it was really one of the first ones in our area to have a computer science program, so I chose Seton Hall. Now, at this point of the story, I'm probably going to embarrass myself, so my wife will cringe because I'm in a room of scholars, and I'm going to talk about some of the grades that I got while I was here. I had two choices. When I got here to Seton Hall University, they had a computer science program in the business school, and they would teach things around business like marketing and management and finance, and a computer language called COBOL, which stood for Common Business-Oriented Language. All the old people are shaking their head. And then they had another choice in the arts and sciences school, and it was really part of the math department. And you would take all of the math major courses, and then you would take all this high-tech formula translation, high-end technology courses, assembler language, Pascal, Snowball. And that sounded interesting to me. It sounded sexy. I thought I was going to send a rocket to another planet or build a video game much better than the Atari Pong game that I was playing at home. And I picked that choice because it sounded really, really cool. So one of the problems with that choice, however, is I was not very good at math. So I had to take calculus 1 through 4 and advanced calculus and differential equations and number theory and chaos theory, and it was a lot. And by sophomore year, I was in one of my advanced calculus classes right across the quad here. And it was one of those tests where they give you like 10 questions and a blue book. Remember, they still have blue books, by the way? Okay. 10 questions in a blue book, and every question took like 4 pages to answer. And you had calculations and formulas and, stuff. And I lived on partial credit, so I was just trying to get through this test. And I handed the test in, and I got it back the next day, and I got a 17. No, and it was out of 100. Now, I've taken hundreds and thousands of tests in my life. I don't really remember a lot of them, but when you get a 17, you remember it. And it was right on top of the test. He put it in like red ink. Like I wouldn't understand in blue ink that a 17 was a bad score. So I got to 17 and I said, okay, that's not good. Let me start working harder. So I went to the library across campus and I got the book and I studied hard and I busted my butt to get through this course. And I got to the next test and there's the same kind of thing, 10 questions and 14 pages of blue book stuff. And I got a 34. Thank you. I doubled it. Thank you. Where were you 30 years ago? Okay? You were sitting next to me, I think. So I doubled it, but it said 34, and it said, see me. Now, I don't know about you, but when a professor says, see me on top of a test, it's usually not to thank me for being such a scholarly part of his academic experience. So I went begrudgingly to the professor, and I saw him. And in a real nice, kind of gentle, kind of productive, helpful way, kind of suggested maybe this isn't the program for me. Maybe you should go to the business school. And being from New York, I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Because if you're from New York, all you have to do is have somebody tell you can't do something, then you immediately fight. Thank you. So I said, hell no, I'm gonna pass this course. And I'm a Mets fan, so I understand the difference between optimism and agony. So I decided to stick with it, and I spent way too many. There's a little cubicle up in the library in the back corner that I think I engraved my name in, and I went to the third test. I didn't really pass the third test, but I don't remember that number. It was something in the 50s. And the problem is when you have a 17 to start, passing is improbable. When you have a 34 to back it up, it's almost impossible. I squeaked out a C- in that course. Thank you. And is it embarrassing to say after 30 years that's my proudest moment at Seton Hall University? I squeaked through a C-, but I tell you, it was because and these are the things I'm trying to tell the kids here, is this is what you learn when you come to college. I don't really remember calculus, but I remember facing defeat. And I was not going to give up. And I was going to learn resiliency, and I was going to learn to be fearless, and I was going to learn to be agile and innovative, and I was going to find a way to get through this course, and I was very, very proud of my C-. And matter of fact, on my first job interview, I talked about my C-. And I found out that employers thought that was a great story. Because here's somebody who was facing failure and decided he was not going to give up, he was going to be resilient, he was going to work hard, he wasn't going to take no for an answer, and he's going to stick with it. And that's part of the college experience. So fast forward, I go to work. And I decided to make a living out of this. I decided to make a living because I was in a program that was clearly above my head. It was just too complicated for me. But I decided, let's fight through that. Who cares? There's no fear of failure. And I kind of lost my fear of failure by not worrying about failing a course here at Seton Hall University. And I took that to the workplace. And when you're in the workplace and there's projects to be had, and I was a computer science graduate at this point, and by the way, they had me programming in COBOL of all things, so go figure, I should have studied that the first time. But I decided to be the one who I will raise my hand and do that project that nobody wants to do, because it was just too hard. Or the project that had failure written all over it, that 5 other people tried and failed, and you don't want to touch this, it's toxic. And I decided to make a living, and I found out that I passed everybody else. So my C-, I came out of Seton Hall University with an unimpressive grade point average, but I came out with this renewed confidence that I wasn't afraid to fail, I was resilient, I wasn't going to give up, I was going to keep at it, and I was going to have all those characteristics that can make you successful. So fast forward, and we started a company, and when I had the chance to join a firm to start a new company, again, I wasn't afraid. Why not? Failure isn't that bad. I've faced tough things before. And we've created a fantastic company. And I'll talk about that in a second. But one of the things that we tell all of our incoming recent college grads, and when we tell all of our hiring managers, and this is what I'll tell the students who are in the room. We have a saying, we call them core competencies. There's some things that we can't teach you by the time you come to the workplace. And these are things that you learned from your parents, and these are things you learned in high school, and these are things you learned in college. And that's the things I've talked about, like resiliency, honesty, loyalty, the ability to work under pressure, the ability to think on your feet, to not have a fear of failure. And when we interview people, we look for people with those traits. I could teach anybody how to write a computer program. I can't teach you how to be honest. I could teach anybody accounting. I can't teach you how to be resilient. I could teach anybody medicine or law, but I can't teach you how to think under pressure and work under pressure. And those are the character-building traits that I picked up at Seton Hall University for a lot of reasons, and I've taken in my career. And who knew a kid from Seton Hall University with a C- average could be running a company doing really interesting things for our customers who happen to be the federal government. Thank you. Feel free to clap loud. Feel free. Yeah. So that's what you have to, don't be afraid. I'm not saying go get C-, please. I'm not sending that message. But sometimes it's easy to take the easy way out. I could have taken the easy way out. I could have taken a major that was easy to do. But I chose not to. I chose to do something that was really complicated. And when I got to the job, I decided to take on tough assignments. And when you want to start a company, it's a hard thing to do. And that's what we've done. So I'll spend 2 more minutes talking about what we do. So you could say, yes, some guy from Seton Hall is doing some pretty cool stuff. CRGT is a company that provides technology solutions to the federal government. Our customers are the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, Department of State, Interior, the EPA, the SEC, the United States Postal Service. As an example of some of the things we've done, we built a system that handles the secure communication between the Pentagon and the generals in the field in Iraq and Afghanistan. Not only do we do that on a classified network, but we built a secure video chat system so that warfighters can come off the battlefield and have a secure video chat with their wife and their kids and their husband and their children, which they can't do. Thank you. Which you can't use a Skype because the bad guys will hack in and find out where everybody is. We work for the intelligence agencies, the NSA and the NRO, and we built a system that controls some of our nation's infrastructure. The communication system we built for the Army, on average, had 10 to 12,000 attempts to hack into that system per week. And we went 13 years and nobody ever penetrated the system. Crowd participation, we look at every one of the attempted hacks, and where do you think the hacks are coming from? You raise your hand if you think it's North Korea, let's say, trying to break in. A couple of people in the back. China, a lot of hands for China. Iran, you think they're trying to break in? 70% of the attacks that come on our system every week come from our own nation's colleges and universities. You people need to join a frat or something. Get a hobby. Stop trying to break into government systems. It's not worth your while, and we will find you. I guess it's boredom. We do other interesting things. We're working with the SEC to make sure that there's no more Bernie Madoff Ponzi schemes. We're working with the Department of Treasury to predict the next financial collapse. When the BP oil spill happened some years ago, we were on the ground 24 hours a day doing data analytics on the quality of the air and water for people in the area. We're helping the United States Postal Service decide to close post offices or shut down your Saturday delivery, but also to compete with FedEx and UPS. So we're doing really interesting things. So my message is when my daughter says, when she was looking at school, she says, I should go to one of those really big schools that have a really cool name, like Georgetown. And I said, I just fired somebody from Georgetown last week. So, I take great pride in that. You could get what you get out of a school, and Seton Hall gave that to me, and I see fantastic progress. I'm glad to be able to be a part of bringing smart kids to this school, and I hope you can all learn some lessons from that. Build your character, be resilient, don't give up, don't be afraid of failure, take on interesting things, follow your passion, and you too can be successful. So thank you for your time, and good luck to the kids.
Tom, I can remember back to punch cards and Fortran. Thank you very much for those inspiring words. And you talked about some of our intelligent, smart, inspiring students. I'm about to introduce to you one right now. Luis Sosa Santiago came to us after 2 years at Hudson County Community College. He'll graduate from Seton Hall this December. He's a dual major in diplomacy and international relations and Latin America and Latino-Latina studies. He's also minoring in French. Luis is a Joseph A. and Carmen Ana Unanue Scholar. He works on campus at the Joseph A. Unanue Latino Institute as an assistant to the executive director. As part of Seton Hall's study abroad program, Luis spent 6 months last year at the Universidad de Belgrano in Buenos Aires, Argentina. There he learned about Latin American politics, history, economy, and gender issues. He also participated in the Summer Institute for Pre-Legal Studies at Seton Hall Law School in 2014. What do you do in your spare time? Don't have much. At the Institute, he studied contracts and property law, prepared a Supreme Court appellate brief, and recited arguments to a panel of judges. Throughout his time at the university, Luis has been a member of the Model United Nations, our Gentlemen of the Hall a cappella group, the Adelante Latino Student Organization, the Men's Volleyball Club, and the French Club, which is president. He is the true embodiment of a servant leader, and I can't wait for you to hear from him. Please join me in welcoming Luis Sosa Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Boham. Good evening to all. Good evening, Dr. and Mrs. Esteban, distinguished donors, and fellow scholars. Good evening, Mrs. Unanue. Tonight, we celebrate our success as a community and as a family. We celebrate the contributions of our many generous benefactors to the Seton Hall University. The work of deans, professors, administrators, and staff, key in fulfilling the mission of the university. And the hard work of students who have come here to realize their dream of a challenging and competitive Catholic education, for we are the leaders of tomorrow. Over the years, Seton Hall has truly become a home away from home for me. In this community, I have grown as a young professional, guided by the School of Diplomacy and International Relations and the Latin American Latino-Latina Studies program. I have learned of the rewards of servant leadership through my work at the Unanue Latino Institute, which has been a hub for me to connect more deeply with my Latino community. This institute has also helped me understand that it is not just about us, but it is about how we can serve and give back. I am involved, as Mr. Boham mentioned, with several student organizations through which I have been able to meet and collaborate with other student leaders on campus and contribute to the larger community. Though I am a commuter, with all the time I spend home, I spend on campus, I may well become a resident. Matter of fact, I checked into how I can get a mailbox here. But I love my family too much. They are too important for me, and I really want to enjoy them as much as I can. At times, it has been difficult to balance my life at Seton Hall University with my family life. Fortunately, I am surrounded by very supportive and loving people who know and understand me and why nothing but my success. As a Latino immigrant, every day is a challenge, and the struggles that I face every day make me wonder if I will succeed or not. However, I don't let this fear hold me back. As a true pirate, I use it to fuel my desire to succeed and be proactive in my pursuit of my academic and professional goals. To this extent, I must thank my generous donors, Mrs. Carmelana Unanue and her late husband, Mr. Joseph Unanue, and everyone at the Latino Institute for providing me such great moral support, which has most definitely had an impact in my life. Through scholarships that have allowed me to attend Seton Hall University, mentorship that has allowed me to create and develop a professional network of my own, and most importantly, cultural and moral support, which motivates me every day to go forward. Let me share something very exciting with you. About 3 hours ago, I was awarded a very competitive food scholarship, which I learned about through the School of Diplomacy and International Relations. Yes, some of us actually do read the e-news. And I got a scholarship offered by the Intern Group and Diversity Abroad, and I will be spending 6 weeks in Medellin, Colombia, interning at a multinational corporation, which is what I wanted. I could not have done this without the support of the Unanue Latino Institute and the Seton Hall community. Associate Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor said to minority students, "It is important to draw strength from your community. All of us need the comfort, the security from that which is familiar to us. It is okay to seek out those that are the same as you, but then use it as a springboard to explore the larger world. Don't isolate yourself in what you know." I cannot think of better words to describe the role the Latino Institute has played in my life. Thank you so much to the Unanue Institute once again, and to Ms. Oyer, the best mentor of all, for walking this path with me. Tonight, at this scholarship dinner, I am compelled to thank each and every one of you, our generous benefactors and benefactresses, for believing in the youth and for helping our collective dream of a higher education a reality. On behalf of my fellow scholars, thank you for being committed to society and to us, and for choosing Seton Hall University as the platform to manifest your engagement with our ever-changing global society. God bless Seton Hall University. Go Pirates, Hazard set forward.
Thank you, Luis. Wonderful remarks from all of our speakers tonight. Thank you for being here this evening and for your generous support for our students. Know that you are making an enormous difference in the lives of our students, and we thank you for everything that you do. For the scholarship donors and recipients, please, before you leave, feel free to have your photo taken in the area over here. And we thank you for coming tonight, and please have a safe trip home. Good night.